Hey, everybody. Thank you very much for having me here today. Right. So I think today is going to be kind of an interesting time to talk about what we've been up to, because we come at a very interesting point in where we've already done a successful token generation event. And what I really want to emphasize today is what should you be looking for? What can you learn from our experience internally that when you look at a token generation event or a security token or an ICO, how do you measure them, and what are the things you should be looking for? So a little bit about us. Our objective is to create a single universal shopper profile where you can understand who the user is across every single one of their experiences across the web. So when they come to your website, whether it's e-commerce or whether it's going to be content, that the entire site becomes incredibly semantic and personal to them, by working with retailers around the world to give the data back to the users, specifically purchase data, so that it can be reserved to the best ends of the user, as well as to create new types of financial economies, as well as personalized economies for those users. In essence, what we're creating is a distributed Amazon of the entire decentralized web. We'll go into that a little bit more, a little bit about us. We're very grateful to have actually been the winners of the North American Bitcoin conference this year, which was quite famous for Ethereum launched in one there, as well as we were the winners of Coin Agenda, and also recently we also won the Bitcoin, the most promising ICO at Bitcoin France Europe, and had an honorable mention at WBF Dubai, as well as the top 5 at D10E at Davos and Seoul. So we've been very grateful to receive a lot of accolades. And really what we are trying to deal with is the situation that only 7% of retailers can identify their user across multiple channels and devices, because the data currently is fragmented across different retailers who never want to share it. So you never have the kind of economies of what Amazon has, where you have all the retailers sharing all the purchase data around a single profile. In fact, for Amazon, this is so powerful that 30% of Amazon's revenue is driven by the product recommendation bar. So for anyone who doesn't know the real numbers here, this means that 15% of America's e-commerce is driven by the product recommendation bar of Amazon. Yet behavioral marketing on an average website can only yield 3 to 4% on its best day of an increase in transactions. And this is because of the lack of presence of reliable, decent data. And we saw this with Facebook and Cambridge Analytica. And it's a wonderful time for us because the world is changing to actually acknowledge that the users need to be the owners of the data, and we're making it a matter of law. How does it work with us? Really simple. The retailer, let's say it's Zara, invites the customer to join SHOPIN through email. The customer opts in. They play a little game on the website of the retailer, similar to Stitch Fix and Trunk Club. And by the way, this game is entirely white-labeled for the retailer and driven by hardcore natural language processing, deep learning, and visual artificial intelligence, which, by the way, we've built in less than 6 months. This is not just a white paper. We actually show products regularly. So if you go to our Telegram channel, for example, which is SHOPIN everywhere, you see that regularly we actually communicate with our community and show them regular product releases. And then taking this little game, we also work with the retailer to give you 3 to 5 years of your purchase data. And now we understand who the user is. And from that point, we consolidate this purchase data. We reach out to all the other retailers in our ecosystem, and we ask them, do you have any data on this user? Well, let's give it back to the user, the rightful owner of the data. And the user becomes in control of it. And now the user arrives at the website of the retailer or the content provider, and you reach a very interesting problem. There's no version of the world where the retailers will want their data to be seen by other retailers, but they want the benefit of every other retailer's data. So our decentralized artificial intelligence sits on the website of every single retailer, analyzes in real time the inventory of content or of physical content, in other words, products, compares it to your data, and just displays the results. And this engine is a decentralized artificial intelligence. And this works now, by the way. This is not a hypothetical product. And in this way, your data is never revealed to anyone but you, not even to us, SHOPIN. But the retailers finally get the benefit of cross-correlated purchase data from every other retailer for 3 to 5 years, plus the benefits of personalized, of verified preferences from the user, from the games. And we've seen that when this happens, there's a 22% increase in transactional revenue for the retailer. 3 to 4%, the old version, 22%, the new version. And we think we can even make it higher. So what are the things that we've learned from the lessons of success of actually trying to go out and run a successful token generation event, especially when you have limited access, because you can't do that on American soil, so we have to go outside of the world. We found that the first thing that doesn't change is team. The team is one of the critical pieces that will never change. You know, they always used to say in startups that team, technology, traction are the 3 things that you need to look for in any successful startup. And a few years ago, Fred Wilson updated that to say that it's team, total addressable market size versus the serviceable addressable market size, and instead of traction, stickiness. Are the users staying or are they leaving? So these are the first things that you need to look at. The next thing is, are you vetted by funders? So when we went out, we were very lucky that the first people who put their weight behind us were people like Mike Novogratz at Galaxy Investment Partners, as well as Will Peets at Passport Capital, and Suna Saeed from Nima Capital. We had Block One, which is a not Block One EOS Block One, but Block One, the listed company behind us. Tom Gonser, the founder of DocuSign, and that helps. There's a famous saying that says that money doesn't like to be alone. Money likes company, but money likes company that it knows and respects, and that helps a lot. So find good people to help you. And those good people find other good people to help you. A big vision, a total addressable market size. Is our vision a big vision? Well, advertising every single year is $338 billion economy. Behavioral marketing, which is right now being shut down as an industry because of GDPR compliance, is a $20 billion economy just in the United States alone. $4.1 trillion is lost every single year from shopping cart abandonment. I'd say that's a pretty big vision. Product pilots, we tested with 2 major retailers, Zegna and Bed Bath & Beyond. And we saw that when this data was present in this way and we worked with the retailers, there was a 22% increase in transactional conversion, and 12% of their database joined within 30 days. Within 30 days at Zegna, out of 1 million people that received the email, 120,000 people joined SHOPIN. And out of those people, they purchased, I think it was about 5,600 people purchased $1.7 million of goods. And then we went to Bed Bath & Beyond. We saw a similar metrics. Out of 4 million people that received emails, 500,000 people joined SHOPIN. And out of those people, 86,000 people shopped on the Just For You page, saw these amazing product recommendations. There was a 22% increase in transactional conversion over any other time that they had run any similar event. And we generated $13 million for them. So we knew that we had something before we went out. We were responsible. This was not a hypothetical idea of a white paper. We were responsible about how we went about this. And then we were transparent and communicative. Every single day, we're on Telegram, and we are communicating with the community, not just hiding behind community managers. And we were on marquee events like this event, speaking to people, because that's the best way for people to really find out about you. If you think that 50,000 people in a Telegram community is a good measure of whether you should be putting your money behind a company, you're an idiot. Okay, and I really want to make that clear, because I can buy 50,000 people within 24 hours to go into my Telegram, and the only thing that you will see in my Telegram will be when Lambo, when Moon. And I don't sell Lambos and I don't sell trips to the moon, so unfortunately I can't help you with that. But what I can help you is to really create a substantial change in our economy. Another interesting thing we did is we took a really hard path. We listened to people like the Securities and Exchange Commission, and we listened to our lawyers, and we did no bounties, we did no airdrops, and we did no paid media. It was hard, but we were successful at the end. And we now have a Telegram channel where people don't talk about numbers and moons, they talk about helping us. And I think it's probably one of the most positive channels I've ever seen across the web. People just want to help, and they're very, very positive constantly and patient. So the problem that we're really solving is, number one, the lack of understanding of the users, the non-uniformity of data. All the retailers, they store their data in different places in a non-uniform way. Some of them store it in a creatively written paragraph, some of them store it in bullet points, and some of them store it in a combination of all of them, but it's all creatively written. And it's very often, it's not quantitative, it's entirely qualitative. You know, so what we do is we build interesting natural language processing engines, as well as we've built a powerful visual AI, because the one thing you get from all the retailers and from content providers is lots of images. So today, right now, if you go to our Telegram channel, you can see our AI working, and I can take a photo of any woman wearing anything right now. You can take a photo of her, and it'll tell you what she's wearing, all the different items, as well as the fit, the style, the color, everything. You can see this working live as a product, because you need to understand the content across the world and across the web to create actual matching that is successful. It's the data of the user, as well as the ability to match. Hacks. Just in the last 7 weeks, Lord & Taylor, Saks Fifth Avenue, Delta, Uber, Facebook twice got hacked. All of that data spilled out across the web. By moving to a blockchain solution, and by the way, we are the only GDPR-compliant blockchain solution. We're busy right now actually getting a patent on this. We have developed our own GDPR-compliant blockchain solution that you would have to hack each and every single user in order to get to this data. So we can create a real way of solving the retailers not having to store the data, but getting cross-correlated data recommendations. All the retailers are getting Amazoned. This is because Amazon has such a powerful ecosystem and now is in control of so much capital that they can even start to cross-compete against people inside their own system. And they do that. Amazon has its own labels, like Amazon Basics. Yesterday, somebody shared the card of their women's wear designer. It's horrific. We don't want to see retailers go out of business. We believe in a true distributed web with no centralizer, no controller, no one owning the data, and the retailers being able to have all the benefits of Amazon type of data and economies, but keeping the users on their website, and that's true decentralization. The other part is bad experiences and bad ads. Don't know if you know that Amazon today is the third biggest competitor on advertising. So when you're building a distributed Amazon, you don't just have to think about how do I convert the users when they get there. You know, am I able to get them there? So we ask ourselves a simple question. Well, if the retailers are giving all the purchase data back to the users, that's an interesting thing, because there's never existed such an accurate data source. So instead, what we do is we have a cryptocurrency that the retailers can pay the user all the advertising money, not Facebook or Google. You get all the advertising money. You get an ad on your phone, you get a request to share content, or refer your friends, and you get from the retailer, you get cryptocurrency, which you can spend back in the world of retail, which means that the advertising dollars are not leaking out of the economy, they're coming back in. And so when you build this distributed Amazon, there's a lot of different components, ranging from you need to be GDPR compliant, you need to have the visual AI, you need to understand the user, you have to have the advertising built in, and we also are looking at the concept of even branding allowing the tokens to be branded. So in other words, a Tommy Hilfiger can give you Tommy tokens, which are actually just SHOPIN tokens at a one-to-one value, and we freeze the SHOPIN token, and we create basically a Tommy token for every SHOPIN token, and those tokens can have more value than just financial value of being able to reduce your prices when you come onto their website, but also can give you access to different kind of things. And the user can go back to their wallet, and at a click of a button, turn them back into SHOPIN tokens at a one-to-one value and spend them across the federation of retailers, wherever they want. So sometimes when you look at these kind of token models, I think one of the biggest things that you need to do is you need to break away from the things that are from the old. We need to do that with product, and we need to, if you want to create real innovation, you need to be looking at this kind of a vision in a very different way. But one of the biggest things that you need to do is consider that there are more tokens in the world than just a utility token and a security token. In fact, there are things called commodity tokens, in my mind. And what does this mean? It means, well, first of all, let me show you a commodity token. I think I have one in my wallet, by the way. It's pretty cool. You guys want one of these? Yeah, I get a discount on these, by the way, when I buy them in bulk. It's pretty cool. And it's like a tokenized way for me going onto the subway. And I don't get any equity in the company. They don't. I know I don't get any equity in the company, but I do as a result of buying a bunch of these, at discounted rates. I do get a discount on the value of that usage of that token within an economy. That's pretty cool. And so when you start thinking about things this way, what about this? Think about a commodity. Let's say I've got this kind of commodity called unobtainium, right? and I figured out that unobtainium is this amazing commodity which everybody is going to want. And I prove, by the way, I go dig some of this unobtainium out with some of my own effort, and I go and show it to a whole bunch of people, and I say, look, we can actually do stuff with it. And they say, okay, well, let's test it. So you test it with these people, and they go, great, you know what, Eran, this thing actually works. We'll stand behind this, and and here, you've done some pilots with us. So now I go to a whole bunch of people and I say, I'll tell you what, I'm not selling you a piece of my company. Okay, I want to be clear about that. This is not an investment opportunity. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an economy within which this unobtainium works, and I'm going to pre-sell it to you at some kind of a discounted rate in advance. And I take this commodity, okay, and I dig it out of the earth, and I deliver the commodity to you very fairly, and I create the economy for it, and you know that over time it's going to become more and more valuable. But then there have to be substantial reasons for this, commodity to exist. And as it grows, and as there is a shortage of these, of this unobtainium, because there's only so much of it that we can really get, a certain economy comes to life by itself. Not one that you force, but that comes to life just because of supply and demand and usability. And I think that when we start looking at security tokens and we start looking at utility tokens, we have to widen our perspective of what's out there. And it's important right now for people like the SEC to actually to create some governance around this, because we don't want Ponzi's, and we don't want people coming around. We don't want bad actors. So we have to scare them a little bit. We really do. And we have to have some kind of rules and regulation. But I think that we have to still keep some open-mindedness about this if we want this industry to flourish. Transparency and communication is one of the most important things that I can tell you will never change about any type of business. Whether you're doing a security token, whether you're raising money through convertible debt and equity offerings, the ability to communicate on a regular basis, to be present with the people who support you, is something that's never going to change. If you think that hiding behind community managers and going and gaslighting the people who are supporting your issuance or your offering or your sale is a bright idea, it's not, really. So communicate, get in front of people, talk, be transparent, you'll be surprised what comes out of it. So we've kind of reached an interesting point in the business. So who over here has ever raised venture debt? Right? Anyone? It's interesting, right? So not a lot of people raise venture debt because not a lot of entrepreneurs are sophisticated enough, or in other words, have been through enough times of raising a capital. They understand the benefits of venture debt. So when is the best time to raise venture debt? Ringa, when you don't need it, 100%. This is generally within 3 months of you either raising venture capital or doing other type of offerings, or when you have a lot of assets. So we've kind of come to the interesting point that we've got a lot of assets. And we had a lot of institutional families coming to us, and people also in the United States coming to us and saying, we'd like to get involved. And we had to say no, because unfortunately, it's just not clear. We don't want to sell the tokens. We had to say no to the US. So how can we do it in a different way? So now it comes at a point in time where we've de-risked the business. We have product. We have clients. We have a community. We have a lot of assets under the hood. So now's the best time for us to go raise an institutional round because we've de-risked the business. Is it going to be your seed stage company, VC, that's going to back us? No, because the metrics aren't right. But there are definitely a lot of companies out there where we can offer collateral, where we can offer a lot of things that are sure now. So we've gone out and we're raising a convertible debt / equity round now, which seems to be very well received. And all the institutional families, like family offices or let's say VCs and private equity companies that could not get involved in token offerings can get involved in us in a really interesting way without us having to sell the soul of the company. So my objective today was really to show you that there's an interesting way to go about things that has not been mapped out. One of the things that I really want to emphasize, though, is that when you leave here today, there's one thing you should take away. If you don't have a team that solves every part of what you're doing, and these people are well vetted, as well as advisors who aren't advisors on paper, people can actually bring value. And I'll give you an example. This is the ex-CMO of Barney's Anthropology and Kenneth Cole, currently the CMO of the US Open. Scott is currently the head of Infosys. Infosys is the backbone of all real huge e-commerce, including Apple iTunes. If you don't have people like that who are going to help you, or the kind of people in your team that have built crazy things like Devakar, our CTO, who built Priceline for 14 years, the first engineer and principal engineer of Priceline for 14 years, who built Generation 1 and Generation 2 of Priceline. Or people can take you to retailers like Michael Herman, who was the global president of sales at Eli Tahari, or Doron, who's sitting with me today, who was the MD of Mindshare and the CMO of Loadame and the CMO of IAB. These are the things that you really need to look for, because the team is what's going to carry this through, no matter how hard the path. So stick with a good team and keep things transparent, and I think everything can work out really well. I'm Eran. I'm the CEO and founder of SHOPIN, and I really would like to thank you very much for listening to my thoughts today.